In the quiet corridors of silicon and electricity, there exists a specific type of memory known as Video Random Access Memory, or VRAM. This is the workspace where your graphics processor stores textures, shaders, and the complex geometry of virtual worlds. 10 years ago, the landscape of gaming was a far simpler place where a mere 2 gigabytes of memory felt like a passport to endless entertainment. Cards like the GeForce GT 1030 and the GTX 750 were the reliable workhorses of that era. They could easily handle the fast-paced battles of League of Legends or the tactical precision of Counter-Strike without breaking a sweat. In the year 2014, these 2 gigabytes were sufficient for the textures and assets of the time, providing a smooth and consistent experience. However, time is a cruel master, and the march of progress in game engines has left these relics in the dust. Modern gaming engines now expect a level of detail that these older cards simply cannot store within their limited memory banks. When you try to run a title from the year 2024 or 2025 on a 2 gigabyte card, the results are often catastrophic. Textures fail to load properly, leaving surfaces looking like blurry, unfinished smears of color. The experience becomes a frustrating cycle of constant stuttering and severe frame drops as the system struggles to swap data in and out of memory. Even lightweight esports games, which used to be the sanctuary for lower-end hardware, are beginning to demand more than these cards can offer. At this point in our technological history, a card with only 2 gigabytes of memory is essentially obsolete for anything beyond basic display tasks. It serves as a reminder that what was once a gateway to adventure is now a bottleneck that restricts you to the simplest of office work. As we moved into the era of 2018 and 2019, the standard shifted toward 4 gigabytes of memory. Cards, such as the GTX 1650 and the RX 5500 XT, became the budget sweet spot for gamers targeting 1080p resolution. During those years, you could run the most popular titles on medium settings and enjoy a relatively fluid gaming experience. It was a time of balance, where the cost of hardware met the requirements of software in a way that felt fair to the average consumer. But the industry never stands still, and the push for higher resolution assets has turned these 4 gigabyte cards into struggling survivors. Modern AAA games now demand high-resolution textures that quickly overflow the capacity of these older GPUs. While you might still find some success in esports titles, the newer, more demanding games will force you to accept aggressive texture reductions. You will often notice assets popping into view suddenly as the card scrambles to load what it needs at the last possible second. By the time we reach the year 2026, 4 gigabytes will be considered the absolute minimum required just to launch a game. Even then, the compromises you will have to make will be unavoidable and likely detrimental to your enjoyment. You will be playing a version of the game that is a shadow of what the developers intended, stripped of its detail and atmosphere. It is a precarious position to be in, standing on the edge of irrelevance while the digital world moves toward more complex horizons. The era between 2018 and 2020 saw the rise of the 6 gigabyte tier, dominated by legendary cards like the GTX 1060 6 gigabyte and the RTX 2060. These cards were the kings of 1080p gaming, offering high settings and even a comfortable entry into the world of 1440p. They represented a period where mid-range hardware felt powerful and capable of handling almost anything a developer could throw at them. For many, these cards were the gold standard of price to performance, providing a premium experience without a professional price tag. Yet, the speed of game development has a way of turning today's champions into tomorrow's cautionary tales. Modern titles are increasingly being designed with a baseline assumption of 8 gigabytes of memory or even more. This shift means that cards with only 6 gigabytes are starting to hit a wall, experiencing forced texture downgrades and occasional stutters during intense scenes. They remain usable in the current market, but it is clear to any observer that their lifespan is rapidly shrinking. When you use a 6 gigabyte card today, you are engaging in a constant battle with settings menus to find a configuration that doesn't overflow your memory. You might still achieve decent frame rates, but the visual consistency is no longer guaranteed as it once was. It is a slow fade into the background of the hardware world, a dignified but undeniable descent. As developers push for more realistic lighting and larger open worlds, the 6 gigabyte buffer becomes a cramped room where there is no longer space to move freely. This brings us to the 8GB tier, which is perhaps the most fiercely debated and controversial segment of the current market. Modern GPUs like the RTX 3070 and the RX 6600 XT ship with 8GB and still perform admirably at 1080p. For the majority of games currently on the market, this amount of memory allows for smooth gameplay at high settings. It feels adequate for the moment, but beneath the surface, there is a tension growing between raw processing power and memory capacity. The trouble truly begins to manifest when you step up to 1440p resolution or attempt to play the latest high-budget releases. In these scenarios, memory usage can easily exceed the 8GB limit, leading to the dreaded stuttering or the game automatically lowering texture quality. Many of these graphics cards have incredible processing power, but they are held back by their limited memory capacity. It is like having a supercar with a fuel tank the size of a coffee cup. The potential is there, but you can only go so far before you have to slow down. For a gamer looking at the landscape of 2024 and beyond, 8GB is a functional but risky choice. It works for the titles of today, but it offers very little in the way of future-proofing as we head toward 2026. You are essentially buying hardware that is already at its limit in some scenarios, leaving no room for the increasing demands of future software. It is a choice that requires you to accept that your hardware may become a bottleneck sooner than you would like. We now enter what is widely considered the current comfort zone for modern gaming, the 12GB tier. Cards, such as the RTX 4070 and the RX 6700 XT, provide enough breathing room for high or ultra settings in almost every title. At 1440p, the gameplay feels incredibly smooth and unrestricted, allowing you to fully immerse yourself in the developer's vision. Even 4K gaming becomes a viable option at high settings, provided you are willing to make minor adjustments. Beyond just gaming, this tier of memory begins to open doors for creative professionals and enthusiasts alike. It provides enough space to support workloads like video editing or light 3D rendering without the system grinding to a halt. For anyone planning to build a new computer in the year 2026, 12GB is the practical recommendation. It represents the sweet spot where performance, longevity, and price meet in a harmonious balance that should last for several years. Having 12GB of VRAM means you no longer have to spend your time obsessing over the settings menu to avoid crashes or stutters. You gain the freedom to simply play the game as it was meant to be seen, with all the atmospheric details and sharp textures intact. It is a level of stability that provides peace of mind, knowing that your hardware can handle the next wave of technological innovation. In the high-stakes game of PC hardware, this tier is the safe bet for the savvy consumer who wants quality without excess. When we move up to 16GB of memory, we see the line between gaming and professional work begin to blur significantly. GPUs like the RTX 4060 16GB and the RX 7800 XT effectively remove almost all memory limitations for the average user. You can enjoy 4K gaming with ray tracing enabled and high-resolution texture packs without a single concern for your memory buffer. This is the realm of heavy modifications, where you can transform a game into a photorealistic masterpiece without the system buckling under the pressure. Creators benefit even more from this abundance of memory, as it allows for the handling of complex 4K video timelines and intricate Blender scenes. You can engage in heavy multitasking, jumping between demanding applications with a fluidity that lower-tier cards simply cannot match. For users who plan on keeping their hardware for a long time or who balance their gaming with serious creative work, 16GB offers an incredible amount of longevity. It is a fortress of memory that protects your experience from the inevitable bloat of future software updates. Choosing a 16GB card is an investment in the future, a way of ensuring that you won't be forced to upgrade for many years to come. It allows you to explore the cutting edge of what is possible in digital art and interactive entertainment today. There is a sense of power that comes with knowing your machine has more than enough capacity to handle whatever you throw at it. In a world where software is constantly demanding more, having this much headroom is the ultimate luxury for the dedicated enthusiast. The 24GB tier moves beyond the realm of standard gaming and into the territory of serious professional production. This is where titans like the RTX 4090 and the RTX 3090 reside, capable of handling everything from 4K ultra gaming to massive industrial tasks. Video editors working with 8K footage find that this amount of memory is not just a luxury, but a necessity for a smooth workflow. 3D artists can render scenes of immense complexity, with millions of polygons and layers of textures without ever hitting a memory limit. For gaming alone, 24 gigabytes is arguably excessive, as very few titles can even come close to utilizing such a massive buffer. However, for the professional who earns their living through digital creation, this tier provides a level of flexibility and long-term value that is unmatched. It allows for a level of productivity where the hardware never gets in the way of the imagination. You are no longer constrained by the physical limits of your machine, but only by the limits of your own creativity and skill. Owning a card in this category is like having a professional studio condensed into a single piece of silicon. It is a tool for those who demand the absolute best and are willing to pay for the privilege of never having to wait on their hardware. While it may be overkill for the casual player, it is the backbone of the modern content creation industry. It represents the pinnacle of consumer-facing technology, a testament to how far we have come in our quest to simulate reality. Finally, we reach the stratosphere of hardware. The 48GB and beyond tier, home to cards like the RTX 60,000 ADA. These are not gaming cards. They are workstation-class instruments designed for research labs, animation studios, and enterprise-level workloads. They are built to handle large-scale simulations, AI model training, and visual effects for major motion pictures. With error-correcting memory and massive core counts, they prioritize absolute stability and precision in mission-critical environments. For the everyday user or even the hardcore gamer, this level of memory offers no tangible benefit in performance. You would be paying for capacity that your software simply does not know how to use. A vast ocean of memory that would remain mostly empty. But in professional pipelines where a single frame of an animation can take hours to render, this hardware is essential for meeting deadlines and achieving perfection. It is the silent engine behind the digital effects you see in Hollywood blockbusters and the scientific breakthroughs of tomorrow. The existence of such massive memory capacities shows us the ultimate potential of our current technological era. It is a glimpse into a future where the barriers between the real and the virtual continue to dissolve. While we may not need 48 gigabytes today, the history of technology suggests that what is considered extreme now may one day be the standard. It is a cycle of growth that reflects our own insatiable desire to create and explore more complex worlds. As we look back at the journey from 2 gigabytes to 48 and beyond, we see a reflection of our own evolution. We started with simple pixels and have arrived at a place where we can simulate the very laws of physics in real time. The lesson here is that memory is not just about numbers. It is about the capacity to hold our dreams and our ambitions. We must choose our tools wisely, not just for what we need today, but for who we want to become in the years ahead. When you sit down to upgrade your machine or build a new one, ask yourself what kind of world you want to inhabit. Do you want to be constrained by the limits of the past, or do you want the freedom to explore the possibilities of the future? The hardware you choose is the lens through which you see the digital world, so make sure that lens is clear and capable. Think about how much space you need for your own creativity and your own adventures. I hope this exploration of the digital landscape has given you a new perspective on the hardware that powers your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our community of thinkers and creators as we navigate the future of technology together.